What you see with Trump over and over again is that he truly believes in the unitary executive. He believes that he has these powers. Constitution be damned. He thinks that he can literally do whatever he wants. We've seen it on birthright citizenship. We've seen it on his move to gut the White House. And it made us wonder, where did all this come from? And how did we end up in this very odd place on this very obscure, weird presidential power?
Matt GPT, I have a question. Where do executive orders come from, and how did we get to this point?
The phrase executive order literally does not appear anywhere in the Constitution. The entire legal basis rests on Article 2, specifically the opening line, the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. Combine this with his duty to faithfully execute the laws and his role as commander-in-chief, that's it. Those are the constitutional building blocks for over 14,000 executive orders across American history. George Washington issued 8 executive orders. 8. His first one wasn't dramatic at all. 2 months after inauguration, he basically sent a letter to department heads asking them to give a clear picture of what was going on in his government, because the new federal government was replacing the weak Articles of Confederation structure and nobody had a real playbook yet. Washington used executive orders mostly to manage the executive branch, directing his own people. The idea of using them to make policy that affects ordinary citizens, that came much later in 1793, when Congress was out of session and Washington needed to respond to the war between England and France. He issued the Neutrality Proclamation, declaring the U.S. will stay out of the conflict, and directed federal officials to enforce it. The, quote, Congress is out of session justification is the original DNA of executive orders. So how'd we get from 8 orders to 1,000? One word: crisis. Abraham Lincoln needed them to save the country. The Emancipation Proclamation was a presidential proclamation, what we today consider an executive order, issued under Lincoln's war powers. He also suspended habeas corpus by executive order, a right that only Congress is supposed to suspend. The justification? Military necessity, wartime emergency. This is the moment the tool transforms from an internal management memo into a weapon of national policy. Then the numbers explode. Andrew Jackson was the first president to issue executive orders in the double digits. Grant hit 217 to enforce Reconstruction. Teddy Roosevelt broke 1,000. Woodrow Wilson hit 1,803. Then comes the big one. FDR issued 3,721 orders to tackle the Great Depression, implement New Deal programs, and wage World War II. He declared bank holidays, seized factories, and most infamously issued Executive Order 9066, ordering the internment of over 120,000 Japanese Americans. FDR normalized massive policy making by executive order. Truman pushed it further. During the Korean War, Truman ordered his Secretary of Commerce to seize and operate the country's steel mills, acting without any authorization from Congress. The Supreme Court said no. The court held that the executive order was not within the power granted to the president because it attempted to make law rather than carry out a law Congress had already passed. Reagan, Clinton, Obama, they all used executive orders heavily, but almost always under divided government. Congress wouldn't act, so the president did. The justification has always been the same: crisis or gridlock. But then Donald Trump happened. Presidents from JFK to Biden issued an average of 19.8 executive orders in their first 100 days. Joe Biden's 42 was itself a record among recent presidents. Trump issued 143 in his first 100 days of his second term. Just as a point of reference, FDR, while navigating the Great Depression and World War II, issued 99 in his first 100 days. Trump beat that in peacetime with his own party controlling Congress. And that last part is the point. Every president before him used executive orders when Congress wouldn't act. Trump is using them when Congress could act, when he has the votes, the majority, the ability to pass actual laws. This is no longer managing government. This is reshaping the system itself. Elections, citizenship, institutions that were never meant to answer to one person. That's not executing the law. That's substituting for it. The situation became so untethered from anything the founders imagined that Saturday Night Live had a cold open around Trump's first 100 days.
I've also signed 147 executive orders, everything from banning paper straws to defunding PBS. I understand Elmo has now been apprehended by ICE.
But while comedy was writing sketches, the courts were writing injunctions. No president in history has challenged constitutional limits or sought to increase presidential power in the way Trump has in his term. Never before has the court been asked to rule on the legality of so many presidential actions in such a short period of time. 358 cases challenging Trump's actions in 2025 alone. And yet the executive orders keep coming. Which brings us back to the beginning. The founding fathers disagreed sharply on presidential power, even those in Washington's cabinet. Alexander Hamilton argued the Constitution's grant of executive power was expansive. The president could do anything not explicitly forbidden. Thomas Jefferson argued the opposite. The president could only do what was explicitly permitted. That argument is still going on today.
I'm, of course, a fan of Barack Obama. I did have misgivings about his use of executive orders. I could justify it. And the way Obama put it was, I'm going to use the power of my phone and the power of my pen. I'm going to do what I can do. I don't think, for the most part, that Obama was trying to test the limits of the Constitution in the way that Trump is.
When Obama did this, Republicans went ballistic. And they screamed about it. And look, I was part of that choir doing it. I was advising candidates, this is the right move to do. The problem I have right now is kind of twofold. It's one, my party, who should be and who did scream, is now such cowards that they will not hold Trump accountable when he is clearly usurping their power. And then second, he's trying to do it to the Constitution. We have the House, we have the Senate. We could have actually passed laws, but we're at this spot today where we are challenging the Constitution with a stroke of a pen.
What you see with Trump over and over again is we know he's a pathological narcissist. We know that he truly believes in the unitary executive. He believes that he has these powers. Constitution be damned. He thinks that he can literally do whatever he wants. And so when he issues these executive orders, it's partly politics mixed with a certain amount of fascist hubris, I guess, like a certain amount of he just thinks he can do whatever he wants and get away with it, which is a view shared by serial killers. He's pretty sick, and now he's infected our entire country with his sickness.
And Republicans want to say Obama did it, Biden did it. That's not the same thing. What Trump is doing is an absolute abuse of power.